I ask all the candidates I have on radio the same question. What is your opinion about the driver responsibility fee?
I actually, we talked about this once before,
Right.
and I looked into it because I realized that I wanted to know more specifically about the driver responsibility fees. And I think that they were originally designed as a deterrent. They were designed as something that was going to be a way to kind of keep track of police and kind of maybe even additionally punish those who were negligent with their driving. But all of those things have failed. And what they've become is they've become a revenue source for the state, and they've become a trap for individuals who need to be able to get around to survive, and now are facing thousands and thousands of dollars of debt that they can't repay.
Right.
I've seen people now who will have relatively minor responsibility fees, but they'll miss or they won't get informed of them, and so then their license becomes suspended, and they get in this continuing cycle of fees, and they can never get out of it.
Right.
They never have that $4,000 to clear their record.
Right.
So I've become very much against them in the last several months.
So are you on the record that you are against the driver responsibility fee?
I'm happily on the record that I'm against the driver responsibility fees.
Right.
And I know people will say, well, we need to replace that revenue in the budget somehow. And sure, we do have to replace that revenue in the budget, but we can't create revenue that harms our population.
Right.
And it's, again, if it were simply something that were slightly additionally punitive or something that was an effective deterrent, I'd consider it. But that's not the way they're working. We are trapping people in inescapable fees, and it's causing them to have to seek other employment or to lose the jobs they have. We can't afford that right now.
Do you believe that we can shift the money that's going to Department of Corrections and shift that over to public education? Do you think that is possible? Do you think that is a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, I think that right now, because the budget has been cut back so severely, we probably can't take monies that are currently in these budgets. Because remember, not only is the Department of Corrections something that is already strapped, we're already seeing judges and prosecutors across the state have to make decisions about violent criminals, people who really should be away from society, that those people should never have to make. They're having to make financially based decisions.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, this person is a risk to society, but we can only afford to put away so many people who are a risk to society. So do we let this person out on probation even though they're going to hurt somebody, but they're going to hurt fewer people than this other person who we can afford to keep incarcerated?
Mm-hmm.
So the corrections budget is an important thing. What I believe in is that we need to look at adjusting the correction systems into something that's more rehabilitative.
Okay.
We need to see that this is, we can't just try to punish people. We have to understand that while there are always going to be a few people who, for one reason or another, can't work in our society, the vast majority of them are savable. And if we look more towards rehabilitation, then we're going to decrease the number of recidivism in our correction system. We're going to have fewer repeat offenders, and we're going to save money that way. For the educational aspect, of course, I emphasize education, and I believe that if we concentrate on things like early childhood development and education, and we build people from the ground up and give them the resources they need, we're going to have fewer criminals, we're going to spend less on corrections, and we're going to have a better society as a whole. So while I don't think that right now simply cutting and shifting budgets in an already strapped corrections budget will be an effective solution, I would certainly look to eventually, over time, as we develop these community assets, move more and more monies away from corrections. Not because we'll be cutting corrections to the bone, but because we won't need as much there.